Hey everyone, it's the end of the week, so it's time for another Weekender, and on this week's show, we're letting you pick which one of the new Conquest First Blood starter sets you would like to try and win. Yes, indeed, there are 4 to choose from. There's the 100 Kingdoms starter set, the Spire starter set, the Dwarf starter set, and the Nord starter set. If you want to know more about these to help you make up your mind which one you would like to win, come on over to store.ontabletop.com and check them out. So for your chance to win, drop a comment down below and include the name of the box set you want to try and win. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and get ready as the weekend starts now. Hey peeps, welcome to the show. I'm Lloyd. I'm joined by Ben and Jerry. Always lovely to see you fellas.
Hello.
Tasty boys.
Oh God, it's back. It was gone last week, but it's back again now. Oh, lovely.
I see someone comment, don't say tasty boys, Lloyd. Well, that just encourages me even more. Speaking of tasty, what about the prize?
Yeah, it's very cool. Very awesome way to get stuck into Conquest, which we talked about in last week's show as well, actually. So.
Yeah, sweet, because you can pick from any of these sets here. Any
That's
of these.
nice because they give a mixed bag for each faction, so it's like a little taster for every unit type of thing.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think I'm very drawn to the Dwarf one. I think that one's pretty awesome. But I'm also,
let's see, Dwarf. This is the one you're drawn to, then, Ben, is it?
Yeah, well, it's dwarves. Yeah, so what's not to like? It's got fiery berserkers, and ardent Quang leading the way, and then you've got the sort of hold warriors as well, which is pretty cool. The Nords one's also nice because it's got Vikings in it. So, well, fantasy Vikings, and slightly werewolfy style men, which is cool. So.
It's always good.
I would say I'm drawn to the 100 Kingdoms.
Well, you do like your armor and your spangly things, so yeah.
I like the fact you get like a couple of bowmen in there as well. So you get a variety of stuff. Like you got your pike guys, bow guys. What are these?
Halberds,
polearms.
Polearms, yeah.
And then
pushing people off horses and then killing them to death when they're on the floor.
Here's your faction, Jerry. Look at that.
Oh yeah, spires.
Spires.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
Rod from my own back that they are.
What's not to like? You can pick from any of those 4 if you're the winner.
Yeah.
Remember, peeps, get your comment in down below, like the video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for your chance.
Obviously, I was going to say as well, we are also doing Path of Conquest still at the moment. There's going to be some more videos going up this weekend. So if you like these and you dive in and you start painting, follow us for the Path of Conquest and see what we're doing, building our armies and that kind of thing. So yeah, very cool.
Absolutely. Speaking of things that are going on, this Monday we have Blue Monday.
We do.
It's the crappiest Monday of the year.
It is.
It's the bluest Monday of the year. Look how coordinated we are, Jerry. Look, both on our blue t-shirts.
Oh man, I didn't wear blue. I was going to say this is dark blue, not black. So
this is very, 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 very dark blue.
Very dark blue.
Yeah.
Not like pre-socks.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be live streaming, I believe, then.
We are, yeah. So on the Monday, the 18th of January, we're going to be running a series of live streams. They start off at 12 and they're going to be running until around 7 o'clock throughout the day, which is pretty awesome. In blocks, not just in one big stream. But the whole sort of focus is to try and make everybody feel better because over the course of Monday.
Apparently, this Monday is like the crappiest, bluest Monday of the year. Hence why it's called Blue Monday. The Monday coming.
There was a mathematician who came up with something that worked out what the most depressing day of the year was. Now, to be fair, every other mathematician and statistician looked at it and went, this is mental pseudoscience nonsense. But the calculation for those playing along at home is C times R times ZZ divided by TT plus D times ST plus P times PR greater than 400. Where it's things like weather conditions, debt level, time since Christmas, time since New Year's resolutions were failed, and low motivational feeling. So this is what all went in there. It's
Wow.
like, how annoyed am I? How broke am I? How fat am I?
How quickly did I give up?
This is
on
a
my New
terrible,
Year's?
terrible time. I hate this Monday in particular.
Wow.
So to help people hate this Monday in particular a little less.
Yeah.
So we're going to be coming back with the hobby hangouts. So we're going to be looking through your projects and that kind of thing, talking about just hobby in general and just having a natter, which would be really cool. Then we've pinned Warren down to do a run through of the Hero Forge competition.
Finally!
Do you remember that,
Yeah.
kids? Do you remember member berries?
So we're going to be trying to very, very quickly cover up anything that he's picked that is particularly Warren-ish, basically.
So any of Lloyd's entries
Yeah.
then?
Yeah.
My entries are amazing.
Yeah, they were. There's an awful lot of cattails being used, Lloyd. Wasn't there? An awful lot of cattails. And not where people may think.
We're also going to be talking to Warcradle about what's new for Dystopian Wars, talking about what their sort of plans are for that, and where they're going throughout the rest of 2021 when it comes to Dystopian Wars in the future and the kind of blending of their various worlds and that kind of thing, which would be really awesome. So, yeah.
And then round it out with another hobby hangout.
Yes, yeah. So we're going to have another one of those just at the end of the day, just to round things out and make everyone feel nice and warm and lovely, which would be really cool.
Speaking of Dystopian Wars, look at this. Look at the prize you could be winning by getting involved.
Yeah,
Look
so
at
we're going to
that.
be giving away that, which is pretty awesome. So the 2-player start set, the rule book, and then also those unreleased fleet boxes. Very cool.
Yeah, I believe we're going to be seeing a bit more about the fleet boxes during the live stream and stuff as well.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
I believe at this point in time, there isn't even box art and stuff for them. They're that all hot off the presses. They're not ready to go yet. And I believe this book here is actually signed. Don't hold me to that. But I got the impression it was a signed version. But
Someone's going to sign it.
Someone's going to sign it. Signature may vary.
Signature may vary, but it's a good pack. Look at the amount of stuff you get in there.
From Santa.
It's a heckin' big release.
It really is, yeah.
And then we're going to have spot prizes as well. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Falcon Friction is one of the World War II card games that they've got in the Warcradle library. So we're going to be giving away a couple of those, 10 in fact, throughout the rest of the streams as well. So that'll be really awesome.
Cool. Blue Monday. Be there or be blue.
If you want to know what the happiest day of the year is, based on that, by the way, I'll throw it in here. So to counter the yin to our yang on Blue Monday is we're going to have to get together on the 24th of June and just be miserable as sin just to bring balance back to the universe.
Of course. Yeah.
So there you go. 24th of June, the happiest day of the year.
Cool. You won't see me for dust. I always book time off in that week. Right, choppies. Moving on. Let's get stuck into this show. Indie of the week. What have we got?
Well, this week was Jerry's pick, and a fascinating one at that. So, go for it, Jerry.
So, I picked Front Rank Figurines, a company who I discovered years ago when I was toying with getting into Napoleonics, but unfortunately, I discovered them about a week or so after I'd bought a ton of Perry's Napoleonics from Foundry. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Perry. I still got the Perry stuff. I still love the Perry stuff. But Front Rank does not scale with the Perry stuff. For modern people who don't like 25mm being tiny and they want everything to be huge, Front Rank is spot on for you. It scales well with all the modern stuff. So Victrix and that sort of thing, you'll find will do the job beautifully. But these are some stunning sculpts, and not just in the Napoleonic, but in all of the ranges. Incredibly crisp throughout their sculpting style and very, I'm going to use the word chiseled. It's a bad word, but I'm going to use it. So
stylized looking.
Where you have packs and belts and that sort of thing, everything is very crisp.
Yeah.
You
nice and easy to pick out with a paintbrush kind of thing.
Yes, incredibly easy.
Yeah.
And whereas the Perry stuff is probably more accurately scaled, it can in some cases be a bit more of a pain where you've got overlapping belts to define which belt belongs to which.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I kind of semi-fell in love with Front Rank, unfortunately, after I'd already parted with all my hard-earned money. And as you can see, Front Rank have been doing the Lord's own work in supplying everything you need for the Napoleonics.
Yeah, just look at this. Look down the side. Look at that.
Yeah. So I mean, if there is a member of one of the Grand Alliances, whether it's like there's the King or the Duchy of Nassau.
Where? Here.
Yeah. So they're a tiny little duchy stuck sort of to the side between like the Netherlands and Germany, kind of neck of the woods. Geography is not quite there, but it's there-ish. Tiny little duchy of Nassau, who contributed a small amount of troops to the overall battles. But if you want to do Nassau, there they are. Or if you want to play a bigger battle where they feature, it's doable. Artillery pieces, horse, the whole 9 yards. Anything you want will be in here somewhere.
Yeah. One of the things I was wondering when I was looking at these, are they single piece or is it like a head goes on or whatever?
And the vast majority are single.
Right.
So you're buying a pack, and that's how they come out. So you, onto the base and away you go, or onto the 2Ps and away you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Are they metal, resin? Yeah. What are they? Metal?
No, these are all metal. And it'll be interesting to see, because I know War Games Atlantic are about to do the first of their army builder packs.
Yeah, the Prussians.
60 Prussians for the same price as 30 regular plastic troops, but they are just standard rank and file with no commands or anything. So I'll be curious as to whether or not they scale with these guys, because I could see picking up some army builder packs like that, or rank and file troops from Victrix or whoever it happens to be, and then just grabbing some of these to add a bit more
variance.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to think of the word. I was going to go for disuniformity, which I'm fairly certain isn't the word, although it is now. To your ranks of Napoleonic troops.
Gee whiz, just loads here. I'm going to have to go look at the Polish, because my missus, she's Polish. So I'm going to have to go look at some of my new tradition.
Then.
Polish.
Yeah.
So
no! All right, there we go.
Oh, what a shame. For a moment we thought we were going to get tiny images, which would have been best. Tiny images are best images. Well, like I say, years ago they did do quite a lot, and they've only added to that catalogue over the intervening decades. I do like the casualties. A few companies do them, not enough companies do them. But if you're going to be playing Napoleonics, chances are you're going to be multi-basing to some degree, whether it's 4 men on a base or 6 to a base, whatever, and having the occasional guy taking a shot or a cannonball or whatever it happens to be.
Straight into the gut or something.
It just looks great. We're all for that.
Yeah.
These look smashing.
I really like the details on them, especially in the faces. You actually see lots of definition in there. I love that you've got the proper mutton chops going on with all of the soldiers as well. It's really cool.
Somewhere I do have a pack, because whenever I discovered them, it was the old days of pre-internet, where you would send off for a sample pack, and they would send you like 2 or 3 figures and their catalogue for a couple of pounds, which was an amazing time. When you're younger, to get things like that. So I have that cavalryman. I keep meaning to come back here because I've lost the horses in the intervening years. I do have a full set of dragoons, but and they come with, see, the tack and the likes of the blanket roll and all that. That's all molded onto the leg, so it's one piece. So you need a horse without any tack on it, and other companies do horses with tack individually. But someday I'll come back and I don't actually need them. They don't.
A lot of these you do see that they say you make sure you buy your horses, otherwise you're just going to have soldiers with no horses.
So
legs akimbo.
Can you buy the horses from these guys?
Yeah. I'm very lazy, and every time I think about it, I don't actually need them because I'm not doing Napoleonics, and then I find them and I'm tidying and go, I should get those horses again. And so history repeats. But I don't want people to think it's only Napoleonics.
One last thing to look at. One last thing in Napoleonics. Let's look at guns and equipment.
As well. Guns and equipment are. Yeah. And these are just, you buy the gun that is the size and bore that you want, and then you go off and buy the relevant crew from whoever you need it. I tell you what, we may have actually seen some. I have a sneaking suspicion John's Prussian 40k army is actually based on front rank figures.
If it is, then
I think about it.
Wait, because that army that he put together in the studio is flipping amazing looking.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to say it's definitely based on front rank figures. because they're very distinctive. But yeah, if you want to, you can see there is also 18th, 17th, and medieval.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do your War of the Roses or your Renaissance sort of fighting, you can. And
this was the section that I immediately gravitated to when I first saw it, because I was like, oh, this would be pretty awesome for a lot of the medieval stuff going on right now. That kind of thing.
I mean, even if you're not into historics, picking some of these guys up for Frostgrave or Rangers of Shadow Deep or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a very Renaissance feel to things. And just, there's more billmen for pulling people off horses and then killing them to death on the ground. It's all good. Everybody loves them. There's a lot to be said for that weapon.
I think one of the things as well that I realized when I was looking through this is that even though the Napoleonics has got a frick ton of stuff in there for you to play around with, there are so many other bits and pieces for the medieval period and all the other ones they do it, like late 17th and 18th as well. It's not like they've gone, oh yeah, we'll also do this little thing. They're all like full projects that they've been working on, obviously, since they started, really. So, as you say. But,
the range is fantastic, significantly good. I am a big fan of, I was looking at their War Spanish Succession stuff, so the 18th century stuff recently.
Right. Yeah.
And they've some really, really spanking stuff in there that could draw me into that. Not that I need drawn into another.
Where do you want me to go? Spanish Succession.
The Jacobite stuff is also cool, by the way. But
well, to be fair, initially the War of Spanish Succession started because they were promoting a Jacobite in exile to be the new king of Spain. So
look at the size of this section alone.
Yep.
There were a lot of people fighting the War of Spanish Succession. Everybody was getting involved in that. It wasn't just Spain. It was, Holy Roman Empire. And,
let's go French.
I'll call that French, British, Scottish. Everybody and their dog was there in some degree. It was almost like Napoleonic Wars before the Napoleonics, where, if somebody's going to kick off, then everybody is getting involved on one side or the other, because Europe is a very small place in the grand scheme of things. If somebody sneezes, then somebody else catches a cold, I think.
Yeah.
Or in this case, if somebody sneezes, then Austria gets punched in the face. One or the other.
Let's see. So where are the actual Spanish in this then? It's weird. Is there an actual Spanish, or is there no Spanish, or what the heck is going on? Like you're having a Spanish war, but nobody's Spanish in the war.
It does get a little bit complicated. Essentially, the Spanish king died without an heir, at which point, because all of nobility in Europe were more or less intermarried across many lines, they all sort of kicked off. So you will find some Spanish will be in there.
There is just a general infantry tag. I wonder if that covers the Spaniards. But the major people involved were, Britain, because Britain's always we were everywhere.
Every war on the continent that can be at all times. The Austrian, the Holy Roman Empire, the French, and Italians and Spanish were also there, along with a whole host of others. So a bit of French Indian wars also covered in this period as well, which will be good for people diving into muskets and tomahawks.
Where do I look for that? Still in here.
There, two down.
There we go.
French Indian War. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'll have me a bit of this.
Oh, you were watching Last of the Mohicans recently, weren't you?
I was watching it last week. I talked about it on possibly the XLBS show briefly.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you want to kick off in Canada, then that is a thing that you can do with this.
Yeah. Get the Native Americans drawn into the conflict on all sides, basically. So
there's Wolf's Army for anybody who ever fancies storming Quebec.
Do many people like doing that now? I don't know.
Wolf did.
Yeah.
He also had a great line that went down in history, which was he said it in French, which I'm not going to do because A, I don't speak French, and B, I don't know in French. Technically, that's the same thing. But he stopped his forces in line and then said, "Shoot first, gentlemen of France," which I thought was a very complimentary thing to do. He also did it because he knew he was about 20 to 40 yards outside their effective range, and so none of the muskets would hit. But then they wouldn't be able to reload them in time to get it in the face.
Yeah.
So I don't think the French actually fell flat because they're not that stupid. But still, nonetheless, a bit of a troll move there from Mr. Wolf.
Now the Jacobites is an awesome thing because I love that I love the period around it. It's just awesome, like Border Reavers and that kind of thing is really cool. You've got your Scots going up against your English fellas again. Always great to see. So,
go full Culloden.
Yeah, and you've got your standing stones for your time travelers to.
Well, of course, yeah. Yeah.
Jacobites, it's cool.
Yeah.
Anything in particular you want to see here, Ben? Because
well, there's a lot of stuff in the medieval, but if you click on that, I'll see if I can find. It was the War of the Roses stuff, but I think we've already looked at that. But away from that, the 100 Years' War is pretty cool. You want to check in the stuff that's here.
Oh, I gotta get me some of these. Look at these.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so cool. Yeah.
Black Prince.
Yeah. And this is what I quite liked about what they've done as well, is obviously they have your kind of rank and file stuff. Which you would imagine from a company called Front Rank Figurines. But they've also done all the characters as well, which is always nice to see. So if you want to make a very themed force, you've definitely got the options to do that, which is always good. So yeah.
That is sweet.
This also reminded me that I've been watching a series by Mike Lodes recently, which was Weapons That Made Britain, which I'm fairly sure I've talked about before. But he talked about a soldier fighting in full armor on foot. And a lot of people think, oh no, they didn't do that. They definitely did. But it took a lot of training to be able to do it because they got like a rando to do it. And he was only able to stand fighting for 2.5 minutes. But they were saying what would normally happen, and you could maybe use this in your games perhaps, is that they potentially fight in 2s or 3s. So they'd swap around who was doing all the fighting, and then someone else would take a break and then sort of swap in and out and stuff like that.
You can definitely fight for more than 2 or 3 minutes. I've been to a world championship for those dudes who dress up in all the armor, 10 shades of crap out of each other.
Because they've trained, basically.
And it was no problem for them to keep going more than 2 minutes. Plus, there's videos kicking around on the internet of like guys in full plate mail jumping over flipping fences and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
it was just this poor guy, I think, was just picked, and he was a bit upset, I think, by the end of it. So he was like, can you keep fighting? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't think we should let you keep fighting. It's
fair enough, because
the description, some poor rando dragged in there and just made to sweat himself to death inside a suit of armor.
The foreground guys left a big breastplate thing in the studio. And
they did. I wore that at one point.
And it weighs quite a lot. And then John has a helmet kicking around. If you put those two items on alone and start running around, it probably wouldn't be much more than 2 minutes before you would be like, I'm pretty much done now.
Yeah.
The excitement has worn off.
Yeah.
If I was made to run around for 2 minutes without armor, lads, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to just lie down now for a bit of a rest.
Oh, someone's getting carried away.
It's our mini Dukes of Hazzard.
I'm just going to quickly have a look at the medieval equipment. So loads of extra poles and weapons and stuff. That's sort of cool.
While you're close to the medieval equipment, if you just go back to medieval and take a look at the specialty packs.
Medieval.
It's tragic. It's a smart car. The horn takes up 90% of his car. But adding things like
what
this
on earth is that?
So that's a big purveyors. And you would put a cannon behind it, and then when you're ready to fire the cannon, they pull it up, shoot it there, and then put it down so that you can reload without being shot by archers.
Huh. That's awesome.
Which is nice. And I also quite like the baggage train they do. They do a 2-cart, or a 2-ox cart, like a 1-ox cart. So you've got either a small amount of stuff being carted around, or you can have large and elaborate amounts. And that's nice because if you're playing, certain games have baggage train scenarios where you're protecting or attacking, or if you have at the back of your board, you have your little camp set up, and if you lose your baggage train, then you're in deep doo-doo.
What I like most about this is you can get carts and things from other sites, but they very rarely have lots of stuff to put in them.
Yeah, I was going to say stowage, but it's not World War II, but essentially stowage. Stowage for your medieval cart.
Yeah.
What's this guy do?
They're drivers, so they're there to whip the beast to make sure the beast goes forward.
I whip my horse back and forth. Yeah,
that sounds like something. Is that a thing?
It's popular culture,
Mimi.
yeah, from many years ago now. Yeah.
You've stumbled into the 40 mil. So for people who want bigger, and bigger might mean bigger battles or just display pieces or 40 mil skirmish games.
Where can I get a picture of these guys?
Options.
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of detail.
And I was going to say, yeah, plenty of detail worked into these, but still the kind of nice defined elements of the models as well, so that it's easier to paint.
Defined elephants.
And not that badly priced at $260.
No, I mean
because you could play a skirmish game with 40 mil guys.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, muskets and tomahawks we were talking about. Instead of playing it in 28 mil, and you're only playing with small amounts of figures or sharp practice, dumping a load of 40 mils in there and actually just really making a feature of it for playing with a smaller figure.
Yeah. Definitely the kind of thing that you'd see people maybe take along to something like Salute and stuff.
Yeah.
I know that people have done it before with the massive Victrix ones that they do and stuff like that. So that'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be cool. We're going to have to come and have a look at this after the show, fellas. I think you've sold me on this, Jerry. You have sold me on this.
I think one of the big points is that it's all one-piece metals for the most part, isn't it?
Yeah. There's very little building.
Yeah.
Build maybe a limb or a head at worst.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that decision making that needs to be done.
Yep.
Right. Cool. Great end of the week. Frontrank.com. If you're into Napoleonics or the medievals, sweet place to go. Right, chappies. Let's move on into the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Yeah, so diving into the news for this week, we start out with some Warhammer 40,000 and what's coming up for pre-order this weekend. So the Death Guard are going to be getting themselves a new codex, which is on the way now. So this is going to be a new option for those people diving into the Grimdark future and want to play as the Scions of Mortarion, for example, and play some games as the pestilent followers of Nurgle. So yeah, we're going to get a new codex, which will have both this regular retail version, and then there's also going to be a limited edition version as well, which is going to be a full art take on that, which will be pretty cool if you want to dive in and do that. There's also a new combat patrol set that has been designed to dive in and start playing with the Death Guard as well. So this comes with a character, you've got your Chaos Space Marines there as well, and then you've got a huge amount of Poxwalkers in the background, sort of like filling out the ranks of the fetid zombie masses that are going to be alongside you as well, which is pretty cool. These are designed basically as kind of like a getting started kit, so if the Death Guard do appeal to you, then definitely go and check those out. There's even Typhus in there as well, so if you want to pick up a character model, always good. As well as that new set, there's going to be a selection of additional ones as well. So this is the Lord of Virulence that is a new option. One of the things I quite liked about this is that it's gone for the kind of standard Terminator armor style that you will know and love from a lot of the different characters within 140,000. But I like that they've tried to make it a little bit more insectoid and bug-like. So you've obviously got the trailing wires and things that sort of serve as the loincloth around the sides of the model there, which is pretty cool. Dripping vital fluids and that kind of thing. And I like that they've tried to make the sort of like the head a bit more bug-like as well, especially with the sort of symbols above it and that kind of thing too, which is really nice to see. So
it reminds me of the guys from Fifth Element.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
I'm not checking his finger for a key, mind you.
But yeah, so as long as alongside the Lord of Virulence, you've also got a returning set of 3 miniatures that people will know from the last edition of the game and the sets they did for that. So these are the Chosen of Mortarion. So you've got these new options there as well, which is pretty cool. So if you missed out on them the first time around and you want to pick them up, then you can go and get those now separately too. One of the other new pieces that they've done for this as well is a terrain piece. So this is the Miasmic Malignifier. Miasmic Malignifier. That
sounds right to me.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want your new Nurgle Bong, then you have.
I
some
was
options.
just thinking that.
That can't be an accident.
No, probably not. Yeah.
I wonder if these tubes are hollow.
Tubes. I'd hope so. That'd be quite cool if they were.
So we just need to green stuff that in so it doesn't all leak.
Not that we advocate the taking of drugs, but unless you're a follower of Slanesh, in which case, please indulge. But yeah, so this is a sort of a piece of terrain that kind of reminds me of some of the old artwork that you used to see in things like Realm of Chaos and that kind of stuff. Pretty cool. A bit out there, I guess you'd say, for the new grimdark future. But you know, if it floats your boat, go for it. Definitely. Yeah.
Depends what's being piped through it. Yeah. Oh
yes, of course. Yeah. I'd really like to know exactly what's in miasmic malignifier and see how it goes down. But yeah, so as well as that terrain piece, there's also a new set of poxwalkers. So if you weren't happy with just a standard amount of poxwalkers, you can go and buy even more poxwalkers to throw into your games. Again, these were available as part of the larger sets and stuff from the last edition of the game, but now you can pick up a new box which comes with all those fandangly scientists and stuff that have been turned into walking zombies and that kind of thing to serve at the rank, at the side, I suppose, of Nurgle. So yeah,
they look sweet. There's only one thing that would make that box set be better.
What's that?
As if it was a box set of New Recruit instead.
Well, yes. I mean, that is a given, I think, for anything we talk about with you. But yeah.
How many years are we going to wait? Jeez.
Yeah. The thing that I quite like about these, actually, is that they seem like they'd be kind of models that'd be really fun to paint with contrasts, especially because you could do the sort of blending between the sort of mutated bits in there, sort of dropping off body parts and that kind of thing as well. So yeah.
This is the last codex that they'd announced last year.
It's this one here, because it looks very familiar to me.
Because they went, here are our next 5 codices, and I think the Death Guard was the last one on that list. We've seen everybody else. We've seen the Templars, we've seen the Blood Angels, and the Sisters. So
yeah, so we'll see what they do next. Hopefully we get to see them doing something more Xenos focused. I know a lot of people would obviously like to see orcs, but I'd also personally...
Yeah, we're never going to
see me. Well, we're never going to see a Kroot Codex, all right?
I'm imagining it's going to be the Dark Eldar because we've seen the new Drukhari box set.
I think it'll be that. Yeah,
and at least it moves them away from 3+ saves for a Codex because I think everyone so far has been a 3+ save.
You guys, you won't even let me dream.
No. Well, you can dream, but we'll dash those dreams on the rocks of reality every time.
Looking ahead almost into dreams and portents, we also have a new release for the Warhammer Underworlds. So this is going to be coming very soon. So this is the Starblood Stalkers Warband, which is a set of Seraphon for you to use in your games of Warhammer Underworlds. This is the return of a bunch of skinks being led by Kixi Taka.
What's in the YouTube video?
It's just a fancy sizzle reel of the new models, so you can get a peek at them.
Look, these are a bit like Kroot, aren't they?
They're lizard-ish, yeah.
So bipedal lizard things. Just get them, be happy.
So as I say, they're led by Kixi Taka, who is the sort of skink priest leading the way. They've also got a set of skink hunters. So you've got 3 sort of more traditional skink hunters, and then one of them is one of the chameleon skinks that people will know and love from Warhammer of old. Shown there up on the top right, who we actually have seen before in some previews. But they are then guarded, well, at least Kixi Taka is guarded by a Saurus Old Blood at the same time too. We also got this teaser for a new warband that is coming down the way. A lot of people have been trying to speculate as to what this is. Kroot. I am in 2 minds. It's not a Kroot. God damn it. I am thinking this could either be a Dark Elf Corsair, maybe, with a kind of spiky armor and that kind of swashbuckling sword, or more likely, it's probably going to be a more classic-looking vampire, moving away from the flesh-eater courts and potentially looking towards...
What's this, though? Is this just a big-ass nose?
I assume that's his hair.
Yeah, I think that's hair or something.
I think it's vampire. Because it's got that basque-hilted sword that they were fond with the von Karsteins for a while.
And he's holding his hand up, which you assume is going to be covered in blood or something. Yeah, so
I think you're right. I think vampire is the way to go for that one.
Yeah, but
unless they threw us all a curveball and add in the first ever fantasy Kroot. In which case,
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
Indeed.
you can make this. Why the heck can't they make a nice faction of Kroot? Look at that.
Exactly.
specifically to annoy you.
Oh,
Every time you ask, they push it back by another 2 months.
Dear Games Workshop, please may I have Kroot? No.
I need to get a petition going. That's what I
You
need,
do.
with like 100,000 signatures.
Insert the reset the clock meme.
So it could be debated in Parliament whether or not Lloyd should get himself a Kroot army.
Don't reset no flipping economies. Just get Games Workshop to make a Kroot army, specifically a Kroot faction on its own with its own codex. Oh yeah.
So yeah, moving away from the mortal realms and to, in fact, a different fantasy world. We also are looking towards the pre-orders for the Dwarf fleet for Armada. Now, these have kind of been around for a little while, but this is our first sort of like proper look at them here on the Weekender as well. So we're going to be seeing, this is the third of the fleets. I believe the next one is going to be Empire of Dust, which would be very cool.
Correctamundo.
But this is the options for a Dwarf starter fleet, a Dwarf booster fleet, and also there's a big getting started bundle which comes with the rulebook and everything else as well. But Jerry's been having a bit of fun painting up some bits of Armada, so I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing these as well.
Those dwarves are up there.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I think they're really nice. A lot of people have been saying, compared to some of the other Armada ships, they're a bit plain because they don't have massive temples on the back and whirly spinny things like the orcs do. I'm looking at it going, no, that's exactly what I want for my my dwarf fleet. I want my dwarves to be heavily armored with a ton of guns on them and to steam paddle around the place. So things like the gun brig there is particularly good. So I think it's called the Hunter for the dwarf, where it just drives forward a massive bombard on the front and does unholy damage. And if you do decide to play with the additional wind rules, which obviously will nobble most people because they've got sails, the dwarves just go, no, this is why we invented steam power, folks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get with the new millennium.
This is exactly why I picked dwarves in Uncharted Seas back in the day.
Yep.
So,
The only wind they're worried about is their own.
Very much, especially if all the windows are closed.
Well, that's true. Like, there's very few
stuffy.
gaps. Yeah.
I do like them though. They're like big floating fortresses, which is exactly what you want from your dwarves, as you quite rightly say. So yeah, very cool.
They're really nice, and I can't wait to see what they do for the big ship.
Yeah,
because all of them so far, all we've seen are the fleets, and they've done this. So we've got the dwarf, we've got the orc, and we've got the Basilean. Obviously the Empire of Dust is coming, but they're all sort of medium to small ships, a couple of large, but they are going to be releasing extra large ships, so massive
XL ships.
But hold your fingers up. How big are we talking?
I think I can actually tell you how big it is. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the extra large ships are 13 centimeters in length. And the larger 10 centimeters.
Cool.
Or maybe 12 centimeters, but they are. So the way it's going to go is you're going to have your fleets for all four factions, and then a little bit down the line they'll do another release where they release the big ships for each of the four factions. Once you've had a chance to sort of bed in and learn the rules and learn how your fleet maneuvers, then they're going to chuck the massive dreadnoughts to sort of throw a spanner in the works.
10 centimeters. That'd be about that then.
Yeah, I think this week. They have announced, I don't think they're out yet to pre-order, but they've announced that there's a card deck coming for people who have the Black Seas fleet.
Yes, because it's built off that, isn't it? Yeah.
So you can just get these cards to use them as a generic Kingdom of Men fleet in Armada. So if you already have because they're based on the same system, they're based on the Warlord game system. So if you've got a British and a French or an American or a Spanish fleet, or you could combine them to make a bigger fleet from the historical game, then you can just pick up the card deck and start playing the fantasy version as well.
Yeah. They did also talk recently in a blog post over kind of like the New Year period that they're also, one of the expansions for this is going to be introducing some flyers into the mix. So dragons, harpies, and that kind of thing might be flying their way into the game of Armada soon as well, which would be cool to see.
Filth, all filth.
Keep it on the sea, damn it. But yeah, moving on into Warlord games, as we were just talking about then, they also released, as the new year turned around, their fantastic take on Black Powder, which moves things into the realm of tiny, tiny figures. So this is Black Powder Epic Battles. And it's 15 mil, but actually 13.5 mil, if you want to be specific, I've been told. And this is effectively them looking at a sort of like a starter option for people that want to dive into playing historical wargaming, but at a different scale that's not your typical 28 mil. The focus has been on the American Civil War with this particular set, and you get enough infantry to field a full Confederate and a full Union force. Apparently, there's not quite a lot of difference in the actual miniatures themselves. It's just basically in the way you paint them for the most part, especially from seeing some of the previews and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they do have, obviously, different leaders taking control of all of the different forces as well. Which
what I have seen people do is, you can see there the strips have got a mixture of hats on them, and for the Union, I've seen a few people cutting down the sort of the wider brim sort of slouch hats into cappies, so that the Union are a bit more uniform, and then it means the Confederacy can be a bit more ragtag, because that was the main issue was headwear.
Yeah.
Although I'm not that big a stickler as far as.
No.
Yeah, I think that's grand as it is. Look, I mean, once you've painted the more greys and browns on this and stuck mostly to the blues here, you've pretty much distinguished the two sides.
I mean, if you want to, you can go the whole hog and, like I say, cut them down to, because all you're doing really is cutting the brim off the side and rear, and then just leave a peak at the front and bush. That is now a cappy.
But at that scale, realistically, like that's your view.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really worth the time. You can do it if you want.
I've seen people go, because the regiments are quite big.
Surprising lack of cav here, though. Was cav not a big thing then in the American Civil War?
It could be in places. Obviously, everybody knows Custer.
Yeah.
Custer earned his spurs in the Civil War. So cavalry, and Lee was a cavalry commander. I think they've decided to go with the basic to begin with the plastics. So there are quite a lot. You do get quite a lot of officers on horseback, so you can do your Stonewall Jackson moment. But I've decided to go mostly for infantry. But the basing is, I think, 60 mil.
And this is all in one box.
Yeah. So they were saying you've got a very wide footprint. So a few people have been discussing using 3 stands for a regiment, and then if you're playing with somebody that maybe is like a militia, or they were bigger size regiments, using the 5 stands, because otherwise you've got these very big unwieldy units to begin with. Well, I think it's terrific for people who are keen to get into historics, because that's
which units they thought cheap. That was too big, or
no, that whole line of 5
is one unit.
That's approximately 1 foot across. So instead of doing that, just play with 3 bases to make a division or whatever it happens to be.
And then you can play a bigger representation of a battle, because you'll have more units kicking around.
You'll have more units kicking around as well, yep. If people are interested, sorry, just before we go anywhere else, yes, they are smaller than 50 mil, because they're 50 mil to the top of their head, which is why they're 13.5. Callistra metals, their 12 mil range fit perfectly with these. So if you are looking to add skirmish troops or swaths or some of the other more esoteric or unusual units, or just to expand on this force, Callistra is the way to go, because they'll not look dissimilar, whereas some of the 15 mil ranges will look massive and some of the 10 mil ranges will look tiny beside them. So Callistra is the sweet spot if you're looking to add a bit of depth to it.
What am I looking at here? Is this different additional packs then?
So you can buy the sort of larger, getting sort of started epic battle set, which comes with the 2 forces and bits of terrain and all that kind of thing. Or you can buy these army sets, which are the army separately. So
this set has this and this bit of terrain, does it? And maybe some other bits.
I think so it's got the field walls and that kind of thing and stuff. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of tanks and stuff, or not tanks, gun crews and stuff here.
Yeah, essentially every sprue gives you a commander on horseback, a cannon, and a full regiment of 5 stands. So, and two strips on each stand. So that is 1 sprue.
So, forgive me for being ignorant here. This is all of this, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's the separate boxes. If you don't want to get everything in one, you can buy just a smaller box and then use it for just the Union or just the
Oh,
Confederates
I see.
if you want to.
Just
So,
buy a set of these guys
yeah.
on their own.
And then they do also sell parts of the terrain separately and that kind of thing over on the web store. It's all available for pre-order at the moment. Also, Wargames Illustrated were giving away a sprue. I think it was just one sprue of these on the front cover of their magazine.
Yes, that's how I know.
Yeah. So if you are lucky enough maybe to still be able to find one of those in like a W.H. Smith or something, then you can maybe go pick that up and check it out. So, yeah.
90 quid for that set.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Not bad for just if you want to play Civil War, here you go, boom, kind of thing.
As an entry point.
Be
I think
tempted.
It's very, very good.
The other thing as well that's obviously quite nice about this is obviously they've titled this Black Powder Epic Battles, but there's no reason that they can't do Hail Caesar Epic Battles or Bolt Action Epic Battles and that kind of thing in the future. So maybe we'll see them do something similar to that. Maybe, focusing around D-Day, do that for World War II. Hail Caesar, play one of the big Roman battles against the Carthaginians or something.
Hail Caesar could be a definite winner because like Black Powder, it works on bases. Mm-hmm. Whereas Bolt Action is sort of base agnostic and a bit of a different fish to fry. But I think a Hail Caesar epic battle and doing like Chutterberg.
I just nipped over to the actual Warlord site. There it looks like your entire sort of layout of the set there.
Yeah. So that's the big full one. Yeah.
You've got to say you get a lot for your 90 quid.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I fancy a bit of this because, as I've said a few times, probably on the show, like North and South on the Amiga was one of my favorite games. Where you played the American Civil War,
based on the fantastic TV show.
Oh, I don't know, but this just sings that.
I wonder why.
Lloyd's going to be drawn into a new game now.
This picture. Oh, flip's sake. Can I be arsed to paint that many men though? I think
you'll find it probably won't take you as long as you think.
Oh, it does, Ben. It takes me a long time to paint stuff.
Well, I mean, that's true. But
never done telling me, look, Lloyd, look what you started.
I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, man. Jeez, yeah.
If I buy it now, I might have it ready for when I retire. That'd be cool. When I have time to play it.
You just need to drop off the detail on them. They are strips. You spray them blue, paint their legs lighter blue, paint their faces in between a fleshy color, paint, weapons brown, and you're more or less done. Throw a wash over the whole thing.
Bish bash bosh.
Yep. Yeah. It really, it's like you said about the hats, when you're standing that far away, you don't see it. So it's not about the fine detail, it's about the overall look.
But the thing is, Lloyd will know. Lloyd will know.
Lloyd won't care. Not at that scale.
So yeah, we're moving away from the Civil War and looking back to the medieval period with the folks at Sarissa Precision, who put together an interesting little thing that popped up over the weekend, which I thought was really cool. So last week we were talking a little bit about the Barons' War, but a castle that indeed was around during that period and was part of the signing of the Magna Carta and a siege by the French is Odiham Castle, as you can see there. So this is a new MDF kit in 28mm that's been done by them that was built during the reign of King John, which puts it right in the sort of slap bang in the period that you want it for. A fantastic looking fortress that was built that would be great for a skirmish around the outside or a siege, perhaps, as I was saying.
Or a heist.
Or a heist. Yeah, you could do a castle heist around there. That'd be good. Yeah. But yeah, a fantastic looking little castle there. And you can see it alongside some of the other terrain they've done just to give you an idea of scale. Obviously, you've seen it next to some fellow soldiers and stuff, but there you see it with some civilians and one of the regular medieval houses from the period as well. But a really nice little set there. The tops and stuff all come off, so you can sort of play it on the different levels, which is always good to see. And they've also included this as part of what they've called the Dark Age sort of fortress set as well, castle set.
Is this the tower? Is this a different tower? What are we?
That is the Odiham Castle tower that is then included alongside this larger bundle, which comes with all of the huge walls and the buildings that go inside it as well. So if you wanted to build a larger complex, then you can obviously do that at the same time, rather than just using that as the sort of focal point of your own creation, as it were. So yeah. And that's the whole thing. So yeah.
I think that shows off the tower better. I know it's obviously the front and it's got the steps and all the rest, but the back of the castle is more interesting. because it shows that almost hexagonal or octagonal sort of shape to it.
Yeah, and that large part on the top where you can place fellow soldiers and that kind of thing to guard and watch out for it as well, which is cool. So, but I like that they've done it so that it's been designed so that it matches the kind of historical period and where it would have been placed and that kind of thing as well. And it had quite a storied life. Did Odiham Castle. So if you're interested in finding a little bit more about it, there are some fun bits and pieces on there on Wikipedia and that kind of thing to go and check out. Might give you some inspiration for what you want to do next and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Got a link here to something on YouTube to do with it.
So this is their I suppose CAD design, where it kind of shows you better than the flat images there of what you're exactly looking at.
So it is monolithic. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, shows you the layers then.
Yeah, so you can play inside it and that kind of thing. Yeah. Very cool.
You need a hell of a big gaming table.
So you can have a poop out the back.
Yeah, just here.
Yeah. I'd hate to be in the room below that has a window right there.
Yeah. Where is it on this? Can you see? Oh, there it is.
There it is, yeah.
Need a big black splodge right there.
Or just a guy with a wheelbarrow.
Narrative table building. That's what
you're going to need a hell of a big table to put that on and play that.
Oh, it's basically the table.
That would be your gaming table.
A really awesome kit there, especially if you're diving into the Barons War, which we looked at last week. Definitely go check that out. Be a fun, interesting terrain project for the rest of this year, perhaps.
SarissaPrecision.com.
Sarissa Precision. Yeah. There we're moving away to sci-fi and a little bit of fantasy because the guys at OnePageRules, who do the fantastic Grimdark Future set of rules and also Age of Fantasy, alongside a bunch of skirmish games and all that kind of thing. We have actually talked to these guys in some interviews and stuff, which I'll link down below in the show notes. But they have released now fully, away from their Patreon, the Jacob's Path narrative campaign that you can download for Grimdark Future. So this is a full PDF campaign that comes with a narrative story for you to play through for your battle brothers, so your sort of like Space Marine type fellows, and also your Orc Marauders as well. So this is going to be a linked campaign that you can play through with your friends. So you're sort of following the sort of trials and tribulations of a fellow called Jacob and the battle brothers there, and the story that sort of unfolds from that. And there's some really nice sort of linked ways that it all sort of comes together, which is really good. On top of the rules and everything like that, the sort of core rules for Grimdark Future are entirely free. You also get these 2D miniatures that you can download and print off at home as well.
So this is a PDF. These are PDFs.
Yes. Yep. And there's also a piece of terrain as well. Well, a selection of terrain that you can print off as well in 2D as well. So you've effectively got an entire game in that package alongside the free Grimdark rules that you can download and play with very little output, which is, well, money anyway. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it only takes your time and your printer, and away you go. Exactly, I do love the guy, what Gitano does with the OnePageRules and that Jacob's Path campaign. They have an incredibly active Discord channel where for the past couple of months, before this even made it to Patreon, people were being able to put their own input into it and sort of as a community build how they thought things should play out and feed into bits of the storyline, and then it obviously hits Patreon, and then they can sort of adapt it from there. So by the time you see this live on their site, it's already gone through a number of hands, sort of refining it and adding to it. So if it is the sort of thing that people are interested in, it's well worth, well, I say it's free, so that's always good, but it's well worth joining their Discord as well, because you can see what they're working on and also add your own input whenever you've played a few games and let them know what you think and what you think would be cool to see.
And this kind of leads me on to the next couple of things we're going to talk about as well to do with OnePageRules, in that a lot of people will probably look at this and just see it as like an alternative way of you to play with your 40k stuff and that kind of stuff, which is obviously fine, and they enjoy the fact that people will do that. But they're also working really hard to create their own miniatures that fit their own sort of style and the artwork that they do for it. And recently over on My Mini Factory, they've started to put a lot more of their stuff, again, that's been developed through Patreon and their community out there for everyone to play around with. So for the sci-fi side of things, they have their Robot Legion miniatures, which have come out with their sort of like core starting elements of these. So you've got a new character for these robot legions alongside the sort of regular troops, and then the sort of snake robots as well in the background that can be used in your force as well. And they've all gone through a really fantastic new sculptor that they got with them as well. And they've really sort of got down to the nub of like, how do we make this as accessible and easy for everyone to dive into as possible? So you can go and get these as STL files and that kind of thing and print them off at home, which is really cool. And I really like the look of these. I think they've got a really nice kind of almost Protoss / General Grievous vibe to them.
Yes.
Which kind of takes them away from, kind of takes them away from the standard look of like a Necron, for example, and instead moves it into kind of like their own realm, which I think is really nice to see. Very cool. And we nice to see people painting these up in something that isn't just metallics potentially as well.
Well, you've got cloth here for a start.
Yeah. And when you say like the Grievous sort of thing, having them in that sort of ceramic,
yes, that would be cool.
Would look fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, so as well as the Robot Legions, which are available over on My Manufacturing now for you to go and check out, they also have released their Saurians. So if you like your Lizardmen style creatures, they've also included them over on My Manufacturing too. So this is, again, the first set of releases for this. They did some stuff last year, which was focused around the idea of like an undead legion, so sort of like Egyptian based and that kind of thing. But they've also done the Saurians this time around, starting off with the basics of the characters, a lot of the core troops, and then you've also got the Saurian riders as well at the same time. They've obviously gone with a little bit more of a theme that is tied into the kind of Aztec Mayan culture that we see with a lot of the sort of lizard men at the moment. Obviously, a lot of it inspired by Games Workshop and that kind of thing. But I really like the dynamism and the sort of detail that's been worked into these. I mean, the riders themselves just look fantastic. They don't look like static or anything. They look like living, breathing mounts, and I love the riders on them as well. Would be a lot of fun to paint with contrasts, I reckon, getting in kind of like all the nooks and crannies with the scales and that kind of thing too. And I really like the character that's leading them in this particular set as well. I thought he was really awesome. And even the sort of regular monsters look, not monsters, the regular troops look monstrous is what I was trying to say. But yeah.
Especially that guy at the front who looks like he's going to stamp on somebody.
Yeah.
This dude here.
Yeah, that one. You know what he's seen? He's just seen a Crute. And he's thinking, I was stamping.
I think so, yeah. I'll stamp that out before Lloyd sees it.
I'm going to let him. You should probably just throw Gitano a wee email, Lloyd, and go, have you considered doing some sort of bird-like aliens, bipedal aliens?
I'm sure he'd do it.
Some sort of lizard with chicken feathers.
That type of thing, yeah. Think of it, Gitano. You could use it for both systems.
Just as I was going to do. But yeah, really awesome stuff from those guys at OnePageRules. As Jerry was saying, a lot of their stuff is done through kind of like community involvement. They have the Grimdark Future rules. They also have Age of Fantasy. They've got skirmish versions for for both of those. They've also got kind of, I think, is it Warfleet? I can't remember exactly.
Warfleets, yeah, the ship combat, and they're working on arena rules as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So if people want to just throw some models into a pit and let them fight it out to see who is bestest, then that's also doable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And again, as Jerry was saying, all of the basic stuff for all of these is free. So you can just go and download it and give it a go, which is always nice. So yeah.
The paper stuff.
So a lot of the core rules and some of the paper stuff is free. Yeah. Some of it you have to pay a little bit more for, but yeah.
Not the 3D models we were just looking at.
No, the 3D models you have to pay.
You have to pay for, or be part of the Patreon.
Oh yeah. If you're part of the Patreon, you'll get them that way.
Yeah, a Patreon backer, for example, just gets all of that. You get not just the Saurians, but you also get the Robot Legions, and you get all the stuff for Warfleet, and you get all the extra stuff for like all the campaigns and that kind of thing. They all just bundle it all together, and you just get it in a massive package, and you can just do with it what you want, which is really awesome. So,
sweet. Last item of the news, fellas.
So yeah, last up, again, we weirdly talked about these, I think it was last week, but Grenzer Games, I just wanted to highlight these guys. They are doing a selection of 3D printable 15mm miniatures for the Roman period. So if you're diving in and want to play around with the Romans and those sort of the classic look of Romans that you see from TV and movies and that kind of thing, you've got 3 different options for you to download and print off. So there's the Roman command set, which you can see there, which contains a legate, a centurion, an optio, a cornisan, a vexillarius, and a signifier. Man, I didn't think I was going to get through those.
Well done, you.
Yeah. There's also.
Can you identify them from the pictures?
I'm fairly sure it's left to right. No, it's not though, because the guy on the far right is a centurion.
Yep.
Yes.
And the guy second from left will be your optio.
Yeah. And then the guy on the far, the signifier is on the far left. The cornisan is the guy in
Cornisan's guy with the horn.
Musician.
Signifier is the guy with the rectangular flag.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And your Vexilius is on the left. He's essentially the guy with the money.
Oh, curses. So
Hence
close,
big,
yet so far.
Medals.
Will we move on before you have to do Latin next, Ben?
It's very interesting. They'd originally planned to do these as they were going to try and bring them to Kickstarter and do them as plastic, hard
full
plastic
physical
sprues.
models. Yeah.
But then the event happened, remain indoors. So that, because I think this was almost a year ago.
It was, yeah.
I looked at these sort of February time that they were planning on doing that. It's nice to see that even though the event got in the way, that they're actually still moving forward and doing something to let people get them out there.
I'm confused. Are these the minis we were looking at last week?
No,
this is different Romans.
This is different Romans. Yeah,
Romans we were looking at
it's not the halflings that we saw last week. Yeah. So that shows off the one of the other elements of this. So you've got the Roman troops, which come with legionaries, with gladiuses, and also the pilum as well. So the throwing spear, for want of a better word, and their short stabbing blade as well.
Who's this from?
Grenzer Games.
Oh, right. Here's where I'm getting confused then, because last week we were looking at 3D printable 15mm Romans as well.
Yes,
we were.
Yeah. So if you don't
which is why I bought these up this week.
If you don't like that squat look from last week, then these could be right up your alley.
They're much more like on point historically, if you know what I mean. You've also got the legate, which we looked at there. So you've got Quintus Drusus,
your Ossifer as well. Yeah. It's fascinating to see where this goes. I know a lot of people were looking at them, and a few people were commenting that there's only, why are there only 4 poses for the Legionnaires? And I'm looking at going, well, they don't need more than 4 poses. If your Legionnaires are doing something beyond that, then they're not acting like a Legionnaire, and they should be beaten by the Centurion or Optimo for breaking ranks.
Yeah.
But also, I wonder if it's a holdover from when they were originally planning to produce these.
I think it probably is.
Because obviously you're on a sprue, you're limited on how you can actually build the models. But at the same time, it means you're not having to worry about parts, because the original sprue design I seen had separate shields and separate arms with pilums and that sort of thing. And at 15mm, gluing separate arms on is a pain. So now that you can actually just print it in one go.
Yep. Yeah, and
removes that impediment, I suppose.
Yeah, and just like what we were talking about with OnePageRules, the guys at Grenzer Games have got quite an active little Facebook community where people have been printing things off and giving them advice and sort of going back and forth and talking about it as a community. So if you're interested in these and you really like what they've been doing, then definitely go and check them out. Especially, as I say, if you like that kind of more like Hollywood style Roman that we all know and love, that kind of period of history as well. So yeah,
Early Imperial,
that's the one. Yeah.
Not Hollywood style. Early Imperial.
Right, chaps, we'll move on and we'll do the Kickstarters.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Yeah, so 2 Kickstarters to check out. The first one of these is actually, in a departure from our normal programming, a board game.
What? A board game?
Yeah.
Gee,
But I saw this and I was like, well, isn't that just gosh darn cute? Right.
What's in the video?
So that's just a little introduction, a little bit of a teaser to the game and sort of talking about what it is. So this is Darwin's Journey by Thundergriff Games. It's a worker placement Euro game. I do love my Euro games by Simone Luciana and Nestor Mangone. And it's basically following, as you might have gathered from the idea of the name of the game, Darwin's Journey, the footsteps of Darwin as he traversed the Galapagos Islands, searching for new species and sort of trying to prove the theory of evolution, right? So the game itself takes part over...
Look at how well funded that is.
Exactly. It's a blooming peach of a game, this one. So that's going to be my new sign off for something, probably. But anyway, so this is a game that takes place over 5 rounds. And what you'll be doing is through each round, you're going to be trying to complete both short and long-term objectives. Obviously, one of the long-term objectives is to try and stand out there as one of the most foremost scientists and sort of help towards the theory of evolution. But along that way, you're also going to be discovering new species. And the first person who's able to discover these new species is able to take details of them back to all your scientists back in England and across Europe and talk to them about it and publish scientific papers. And this obviously means that you get more prowess and more money for continuing in later turns, which is pretty cool. One of the elements of this that is sort of really interesting is the kind of worker placement side of it. So with the workers, each of them do different things and they have special abilities and that kind of stuff as well. And so you're going to be trying to use your best workers for the best things possible during each turn. So it's all about sort of optimization and that kind of thing, which is something, again, that I really, really enjoy with my Euro games. The game itself has lots of different paths to victory. So there are many, many ways for you to get your victory points, a little bit of a point salad, which is always nice to see. So when you dive in and play this, there's the opportunity for you to play through different sessions of the game and for it to be different every time you sit down. So obviously there are good and bad ways to sort of gain your victory points, but hopefully you'll sort of try different things. And because the different players at the table doing different things as well, it'll influence your actions and sort of what you want to go and sort of venture off into, which is really cool. Another element of it as well, which a lot of people have been talking about and really enjoying it when they talk about it in their videos and the comments and that kind of thing, is there's lots of different ways to do like big combos and stuff. So things you do earlier in a turn or in early sort of portions of the game will have repercussions later on, and so sort of combining all of that together to get lots of points things is going to be very satisfying, which is good to see.
If you eat all of the giant tortoises
on the way home,
nobody gets to know what a giant tortoise is.
Exactly, yes. As was a real thing that happened. But yeah, the Kickstarter itself is really good, and it's been sort of focused again towards trying to improve the quality of the components and that core game rather than just throwing loads of stuff at you. So there's lots of really nice things, like they've done weather-worn wooden pieces instead of the traditional ones, which is really nice. And they've included things like a solo mode, so you can dive in and play the game by yourself. They've also got like a special Charles Darwin character figure that can be added into the game, and when you use him he does something special and all kind of thing as well. So it's a real nice little bit of a labor of love for these guys that seems to come together really nicely.
There's no shortage of videos that popped up about
exactly.
That one's got a ship.
Yeah.
Sure.
A lot of people really enjoying this game, as you can see from the Kickstarter campaign. Lots of fun things in there to go and check out. And if you're interested in playing a Euro worker placement game, definitely go and check this one out. Really looks really nice. Lovely artwork, lovely components.
I was going to say,
cool
the
mechanics.
artwork look absolutely fantastic.
The artwork is fantastic, but yeah, go check that out. I think it's got about 13 days left when you're seeing this as part of the show. So definitely go and give it a peek. And maybe at some point in the future, you'll be able to play this with some friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's hoping.
Although not too soon.
Yeah.
Because if you go out too soon, you may end up a Darwin recipient.
That's true.
Another way.
Yeah, you don't want to get the Darwin Award, as it were. No, yeah. But yeah,
Cool. I like to look at that a lot.
So the second of the campaigns is from the guys at Broken Anvil Miniatures. And this is us stepping back into the realm of 3D printing. And as soon as you start to see some of the miniatures in this, you may have figured out why I picked this. But this is a set of, as they put it, offbeat and quirky 32mm miniatures for your dungeon delving and tabletop war games. They have a selection of very different and interesting factions for you to pick from. So you have the Mouse Folk, which are one of the factions.
What's in these vids doing at close-ups?
They're like previews all the miniatures that they've done before, and also some of the new ones as well that they've been doing as well. So it's a little bit of a peek at what they've done and sort of like the printed final products and that kind of stuff.
Fear the toads.
Yeah.
Toads are cool. All right.
Would they be enough to draw you away from your Groot?
Maybe.
They're an alien race that's been drawn in by the greater good. Of course, they work. Yeah, it's great.
I haven't seen space frogs in years.
Yeah. So this is the newer one of them that they've been doing. And as I say, they have like the mouse folk, which we will look at in a second. But they've also got, as you can see here, things like the
Dwarves.
Frogkin, the Dark Dwarven Raiders, which are really cool. So if you like your sort of Duragar kind of style of model, you can easily go in and pick those up and sort of play around with those, do some painting and that kind of stuff. They've also done some kind of massive monsters as well. So they've done these thing called the Fungonoid Cluster, which are massive, monstrous mushroom folks. And they've also done the Monsters of the Deep as well. So they've kind of taken their take on classic D&D monsters and play around with them as well. But yeah, if you scroll down, you'll start to see more
look
of them.
amazing.
The Fungonites are very cool. But yeah, so we'll start with them here. You've got the mouse folks and stuff. So yeah,
I'm glad that it's not just STL files. So
yes,
real people can get them as well. They'll cast them in resin.
Yeah, those of us that don't have the time to spend 3D printing can get them as they are, which is cool.
That mouse, I'm going to say hag.
Yes,
it's disturbing. Just go past.
Yeah, don't look too closely.
No,
yeah, but
they remind me of American Tail.
Yeah,
Fievel.
Yeah,
if Fievel ended up with any of them, he would have got back on the boat.
Yeah. Man, I remember watching Fievel for the first time and thinking it was really fun and really happy, and then feeling really sad by the end of it. Because as far as I remember, it was a really sad, upsetting movie, which is a shame.
If you want to see sad and upsetting, you should Google the Fievel computer game at some point.
Oh no!
Which really is sad and upsetting. It was made as a cheap cash in and is just terrible.
Oh man,
horrendous. It's worth.
I did like Fievel though, but
there's some people do really detailed dissections of it on YouTube, and it's worth it because it's hilarious how bad it was.
But yeah, you can see some of the models that they've been doing here. So obviously we saw the Frogkin just above here, and the Dark Dwarven Raiders, which I think are really cool. I think these are like
they're very not Warcraft, but they've a
Warcraft-esque. Yeah,
they have a cartoonish style to them. When you look at the cloaks in those sort of very angular wisps, I suppose, rather than a generic sort of flowing. They do have a very distinctive style. I mean, they look fantastic, even if they are Dark Iron Dwarves.
Now these are awesome, the Fungonites. So if you're looking for like massive, monstrous mushroom beasts in the Underdark, then these are definitely one to go and check out. And again, you've got big monsters and sort of like core troops as well that you could use if you wanted to do a skirmishing warband or part of an army, perhaps as well.
I mean, even beyond that, using those in place of Tyranids.
Yeah, that would work very nicely indeed. Yeah.
It's a very different look, and those stag beetle-like things hanging off the rocks are not right either.
No. Not right, but in just the right way.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely not right. Don't want one of those coming at me. I like the scenery pieces they've done.
Yeah. So they're doing some nice little bits and pieces. It's sort of additional that you can use, and they kind of work almost, you could use them as like objective pieces potentially, or you could just use them as things to like build up the character and stuff around the tabletop as well. But they're a nice little addition that they've sort of thrown in there as well, which is really good. Helps setting the scene as well, and it's obviously nice to have things like that work alongside your miniatures, because if your miniatures are so stylized, you don't want terrain that doesn't have an element of the stylization to it. So things like that are very obviously useful when you're doing.
I mean, that weapon rack looks like any of the Dark Dwarves could just come and sweep it up. Likewise, the giant froggy stone head for one of your frogs to wake up on a beach and then start screaming.
You went and did it.
Yeah, it's definitely got that video game aesthetic up to it.
It does. Yeah.
Sea of Thieves pops into my head when I'm looking at it.
Yes, actually. Yeah. Kind of over-exaggerated proportions and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Some of the unlocks are particularly good where they don't have renders for some of them yet, but they still have that feel. I mean, the orc in particular has a Warcraft feel to him.
What am I looking?
Bongos.
Hold on here.
Yeah, just whenever you hit there. So, I mean, that bespectacled wizard type of fellow, so battle wizard, and I'm assuming that's a spell effect of a massive hand that's going to slap somebody. But if you scroll down a bit more, there's a set of like 4 adventurers, and there's a chickeny lizard, and then that big bongo playing orc. is very Warcraft-esque.
That's definitely an orc bard. That's what they do. So,
Well, yeah. What is the worst kind of bard? An orc bard. All the terribleness of a bard and an orc. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what some of those silhouettes are coming, because that
what's this going to be?
Yeah, that one is the one I'm looking at. That reminds
me. It's a
me
rock monster.
There used to be a massive resin beast. I can't remember what it was called for Rackham. The orcs actually had it, and it had a similar sort of silhouette. It was just this massive hulking, low flying lizard with a huge sort of horned head on it.
We've got a giant bear here as well.
Yeah.
Has he got a bear behind?
Hey.
Be here all week. Try the fish.
But no, a really awesome campaign that they've been put together. I believe as well this was a little bit of a relaunch for them, but they kind of like talked about it with the community and sort of came back up and like, we're going to do it this way to make sure that it all works really nicely for you and that kind of thing. And this was actually a little interesting bit at the bottom, because one of the things they talked about is that they've tried to make it so they're fun for gamers, but they're also interesting models for painters to paint. Because you get a lot of people on YouTube and that kind of thing who are doing painting tutorials and that kind of stuff now, and you want to have interesting models to show off your techniques and stuff, and so they've designed these miniatures so that they would perfectly fit that, and obviously that cartoony over-the-top style definitely works. So
cool. Yeah. What's this one called again?
Dungeon Delvers. There you go. Yeah.
Gonna have 17 days.
17 days left. Yeah. And obviously, as you can see, well funded. So.
Oh, it's a relaunch. Was this on Kickstarter before?
It was on Kickstarter before, but they sort of decided we'll go again with a new sort of style. And yeah, there you
go. Evidently that has worked out for them.
Well, yes.
Seems to have, yeah.
Sweet. Cool stuff. Right, peeps. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. If you've been enjoying what we've been doing, make sure and tune in to the XLBS show on Sunday. I believe Warren's going to be showing us maybe some more of his lightsaber journeys, because he's doing up his basement at the minute, so he's trying to do it as like a gamer's hobby paradise, I guess you could describe it as. Big wargaming basement. Make sure you get your comments, your likes, and your subs in for the prize. You'll get to pick whatever set you want, and we will see you again next week. Ta-ta, fellas. Bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.